Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/getstarted for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk. Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
News. News.
Radio.
News. News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. It is the 24th of August, 2016. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Sitting across from me is the man who can smell what's going on in the kitchen from all the way out in the yard. It's Sackhead Clint. Good evening, sir.
That was me uncorking a bottle of Macallan.
Sitting off to the right, joining us this evening is the aftershot of Nick Nolte when life went to hell. Ladies and gentlemen, the board meeting Zeppelin joins us.
Now that's actually some funny shite, okay? I actually laughed at that one.
And, of course, I am your final host of the evening, and we'll just leave it at that. How are you?
The biggest host of the evening?
He's the bigot host of the evening.
Wait a minute, don't you chime in either.
He's the bigot host of the evening.
I can shut him off whenever I want.
True.
Close mic 5. Gotcha. All right, so...
And now, see, everybody knows you're full of shit because there are not 5 people in here. I'm in a mood tonight.
Man. I am in a mood as well. We have...
It started. It started with me yelling into a phone.
You know what? I haven't done this in so long, I couldn't even remember how to intro it. If you listen to us, make sure you check into the chat room, shrmedia.com. Click live chat. We do have a huge list of topics on the big board going on up there that we will get to eventually. But first, what? I said eventually.
No, you did.
So what's the problem? Why would you even look at me sideways like that?
You know why I look at you sideways?
Because that's the only way you can do it with your nose.
This is true. Actually, that's not true. Because if you think about the dynamics, if I look at you sideways, I can't see through this big hook thing on top, right, with one of my eyes. So I have to look at you straight on.
Anywho.
Because it's not a really big board. Like we didn't even break down the first half hour into 2 different segments like we usually do.
No.
It's one segment because I have a feeling you're going to go off on a complete tangent on this one. We didn't even do Surprise Sean. You were so stinking fired up over this topic that I gave you the entire 20 minutes after General Jackson.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, because I think this is going to be entertaining.
Before I go off on a tangent, I just want to send well wishes to my mother, who had heart surgery, a little something going on earlier this week.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But she's recovering. She's doing well. Now, if they could only fix what's in her head, she'd be just fine. No, of course, she's insane. She's
they
my
could
mother.
have fixed what was in her uterus about 20 years ago. That would have been cool, too.
Yeah, 40 years ago? You're right. They just didn't have the technology back then to do it.
Yeah.
But she is recovering. She's doing well. Thank you for everyone who sent me messages, because I did get a lot of people who made the connection, were able to figure it out. So I just want to thank all those folks as well. Oh, man. God, how are you?
I'm okay.
Did you purchase any new furniture lately?
God. You're only going to go there. You're going to start it out. You're going to light him up. Okay, fine. He's got a bottle of
I just asked a
Macallan's right
question.
in front of him.
I just asked a question.
He already popped the cork, so to speak. That's a great way to start the show. Outstanding.
No,
All right,
because
put
if any-
balls in your court, sir.
No, is that like a single ball joke because I had cancer? I don't know that I appreciate this. That's kind of I don't know that I like this, and
In your court,
I'm
sir.
getting it from both ends, and this isn't like
That's usually how you. Go ahead.
yeah. No,
just set it
smartass.
off.
I haven't purchased any new furniture lately. Well, I guess like I personally did not, but maybe some of my funds. Maybe I contributed to some new
I didn't.
furniture.
I was asking a
being
question. I haven't
purchased.
talked to you in a week.
No, I know. I'm answering your
Okay.
question. I know you're not trying to fire me up, right? And I hope somebody is listening. That congratulations on purchasing new furniture with my fucking money.
Right.
No, I think the next major purchase I'm going to get is going to be like jewelry or something. So
I do love me a necklace.
a pearl necklace.
Gold.
You like you a pearl necklace.
Well, hey, you know what?
If it's good
Whatever
enough for
works.
ZZ Top, it should be good enough for Sean, right?
Hey,
Right.
thank you.
Well, the only difference is
Says
Sean
the man
doesn't
who was
have
in
hair.
ZZ Top.
Like if you took all of Sean's body hair and put it like on his face, maybe he could get like a ZZ Top beard, like double.
All I have to do is hold my nose and sneeze, and I can get a full-blown beard.
No, you're
From
not
the-
Socko.
From the eyebrows down,
Not
it
true.
grows like wildfire.
You're not Socko. Socko's like Captain Caveman. And if anybody's seen Socko, you know what we're talking about. Is he going to call in? What is he in the chat room?
Uh-oh. What do you mean? Well, you said something about Socko. And
Is he on the line?
ask and you
Sock it
shall
done.
receive.
Somebody.
Socko.
This is the Socko formerly known as Sackhead Socko.
Socko, how are you, young man?
Old man.
Young. I said young.
No, he said young. Why are you? Listen, you don't call in or see us for fucking months at a time, and you're going to start bitching at Sean.
I know, right? Ladies and gentlemen, on
I was
the
going to take it as a compliment because I did turn 26 recently. But
You
Oh my
did.
God.
You don't call, you don't write.
ladies and gentlemen,
You
on the
don't
phone
send
with us
flowers.
right now is the man who used to be the producer of this show, a man we love very, very
You're
much.
so resentful, like I died or something. Come
No,
on, guys.
You listen. You didn't die literally. You just died to us.
Well, you
and so as
didn't
long as you
die.
understand that,
You
like,
didn't die. You just killed us as a family, and that's fine.
right? Look, families break up all the time, and for some reason, you know, you just like
Bye,
doing this
Bumpets.
to me. So that's fine.
Guys, it wasn't planned. I just found another, and I had to,
No, look, I know. Look, you have to be happy in you, right? Because commitment means nothing to you.
All right,
I get it.
all right,
I get it.
Yeah,
'Cause I have
fine.
everybody-
And
I have-
nothing to me.
Hey, Socko, of course, in the chat room, everyone is saying hello to you. Of course, Mary's the first one to throw it out there to say hello and how much she loves you.
Because Mary is sweet.
Because Mary is awesome.
Yeah.
All joking aside, how are you, pal?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I thought I'd catch the first 10 minutes and get railed on again like old times.
Just like the rest of your time in the Bay Area.
Right, welcome to San Francisco. You're not getting railed on here.
No, but I'm good. I just missed you guys, missed the show. I found some free time, decided I'd call in and chime in a little bit.
Awesome.
And here's what
We
people
relay a
still
little
don't
bit,
know.
so you can
Like,
catch
so-
up what I'm joking at and what I'm not joking at. Sean,
So-
what if I told you I'm going to vote for Hillary this upcoming election?
I would shave your private parts with Nair.
Oh, I just got done doing that. So.
You know what, Socko? If you were to vote for Hillary, first of all, I think it's in our bylaws that you'd
You'd immediately lose your ownership.
33.3% would be immediately revoked.
Is that how I get out of this thing?
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
It's only like a double-edged sword,
right.
right?
And then you're on par with the ambulance chasers that listen sometimes and like try and chime in.
Other than that, though, it'll be fine, sweetheart.
Jesus, what? San Francisco rubbing off on you that much?
Or in you.
I didn't think ideology like came from
Please.
semen.
Look at how he's. Everyone wants to know if Sacco started wearing short shorts because of his. And I said yes, but that was before he even left.
But here's the real question. So here's the real test.
Prepared, I was in the cage, and I was just, I'm going to hike my shorts up just like today.
Let's see how Bay Area Sacco is. Sacco, do you have a man bun and capris? You have to have both. Like one or the other doesn't cut.
That I didn't want any more on my head, so I don't have a man bun.
So no man bun. Okay, so there's hope for him.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Culottes and topsiders.
Culottes and topsiders. He's Googling culottes as we speak. Hey, everything's going well. Everyone's well in your life.
Yep, everything's good. I'm just mad that you bailed on me last weekend for a beer. That's okay. I won't hold you to it.
Well, but here's the problem.
Hang on a sec. I bailed on you. First of all,
nobody ever followed up.
You bailed on our family. So the fact that we bailed on a beer, that's just too stinking
hot
bad.
Button issue tonight.
Listen, after all the hate, I still love you, babe.
Hey, but Sacco, here's the problem: is you involve Big Fat Polly.
Yes.
And at that point, once I get like the 50th text message from him making some sort of joke about not wearing pants, I have to turn it down. I have to just excuse myself from the chat because I can only see so many assless chap jokes in one conversation before I get completely uncomfortable.
Now, hang on. That's not entirely true, Sean. Because here's what happens. You start Googling pictures because the words aren't enough for you.
Right. So I get distracted.
Right, so you get distracted.
I burn my phone battery down.
So it's not that you're bagging out of the conversation. You just get distracted and start looking at pics.
Hey, Sacco, is there any truth to the rumor that we may actually see you again on a regular basis sometime in the next year or so?
Wow, these rumors spread really quick.
Yes.
I'd like to know what rumor you're talking about right now.
Yes, so I'll give you an update. I guess, basically, for everyone who doesn't know, I work in the Bay Area. And what that means is I work around every tech company that you use on a daily basis. When I drive to work, I see Netflix.
No bragging.
I see Facebook.
Yeah,
I
just
see
fact.
Apple. I see every single company you can think of. And just so you know, my goal is to get into a programming job that lets me work from home so that I can come back and I'll commute once a week back out here and then work back where I am supposed to live and get back in the show. But it's a stretch. It's something I'm hoping for. We don't know what will happen. That'll be a year, though.
We're hoping too, buddy. Because all joking aside, we definitely miss you. We definitely miss having you in the studio. You are part of our family. You're part of the brotherhood, and we. So many people ask about you all the time. You're extremely loved on this show, contrary to what Clint does. And we definitely miss your presence here. So I'm hoping that can happen soon. And if not, just keep calling in until it does, would you?
I'll give it a shot.
All right,
you
buddy.
You guys do your show. I'm going to be listening on the side and cleaning my house at the same time.
Awesome.
So are you able still to are you able to still come in like through the interwebs and produce the show? Because you're slacking right now. There's no reason why you can't do the soundboard, and I can have Sean back where he belongs in his seat where BZ is.
And then you'd have to set up a third spot eventually,
right? Which
for
we could
guest.
Set up a third spot.
We'd be in a diamond.
Yeah. So is there any way you could actually like do your freaking job right now? Is basically what I'm asking.
No.
The answer is no.
Here's the best part, Sacco. He wasn't kidding. On some level, he thinks you can move the soundboard sliders from where you are.
No, he can't.
It's
right?
just Clint.
Because it's magic.
Right, because it's magic.
The internet is magic, and that's how. Look. I understand, Sacco, that you use PFM when you're writing code and when you're doing this stuff for us. So since you're using PFM, you know what PFM is, right? I mean, you're a tech guy. It's pure fucking magic.
Right.
So since everything works on PFM, just do some shit. I don't know. Do your freaking producer stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you give me a year without any sass, when I come back, I'll.
Did you say you're going a year without any ass? Because I have to commend you for that.
Oh, no sash back, he said.
Welcome to the club.
That makes him saintly.
Hey, buddy.
Bestow sainthood upon him.
Hey, Sacco, you quit the job, you leave the family, and you put us 4 minutes over time. Usually you're yelling at us, and now you're the reason we're running.
Right, normally he's the one that gets us
Seriously,
moving.
you going to call us and distract us away from our job? Look, I know you're a big Bay Area hotshot right now, but how about you help keep us on task?
I want to really distract you within the next couple hours.
Hey, send me pictures if you're really going to distract me.
No. He can still dial into the computer system. Let's just
See,
not talk.
I knew it!
Hey, buddy. It's always a pleasure. We do miss you, pal, and I hope you're doing well.
Hey, don't think that he can't dial in and take control of your car as you drive home.
He can.
No, I know it's
Uncommanded
Sacco.
left turn,
It's Sacco.
uncommanded brakes.
It's Sacco. You know what I've noticed is that the helicopters stopped flying overhead since Sacco left.
All joking aside, to the people out there who think we're just playing about Clint's inability for technology, some of the questions that he would ask Sacco with a straight face that both Sacco and I thought were jokes for the longest time about tech was amazing.
Right.
And Sacco, back me up on that.
I had my own segment for a period of time.
Text message one.
He would ask Sacco a question that we thought was a joke because it was so ridiculous.
Right.
And then we'd look back at Clint and we'd be like, oh, shit, he is dead serious right now. And then, like, you get that, you get that embarrassed feeling when somebody, like, falls in public. You feel embarrassed for them. That's pretty much the room for the rest of the night. And then Sacco and I would text each other mocking him. But either
This
way,
is why it's so easy for people to do shit behind my back, right? Like,
Sacco, we got to go because he's going to go down a dark path that I'm
I'm going to go down a dark
on.
path, and I'm almost out of McAllen.
He wants to know what he does after the C prompt.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself. Thanks for calling in,
good
pal.
talking to you.
You guys. See you.
Sacco Taco, the hairy one, joins us tonight. It's always a pleasure to hear from that young man. 26.
How much money does it cost to shave him?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. So we did a fundraiser.
Do you know where the debt for this company actually comes from?
Did it
It's
get
at
bird
Brewer's
nests out of that? Is that where all the bird nests come from in
Yeah.
Sacramento?
Did you notice that Sacco was here and he was loyal to us the entire time we had him caged?
Yes.
And that old adage, if you love something, set it free. Well, we didn't. He escaped. And now he won't come back to us.
Right.
And so obviously that adage is bullshit.
We're going to get somebody out there to capture him.
Right. So we're paying a ransom for Sacco.
We're paying a ransom. The problem is,
This is a joke. Nobody go looking for Sacco.
It's in returnable aluminum cans.
Right. 3 of them.
3 of them. Oh,
You have a
man.
segment, so
I
I'm
do
gonna get
have a
us back on
segment.
track.
So finally, a win for the good guys, so to speak. And this has to do with free speech and safe spaces. And this got my heart all aflutter when I read this. The University of Chicago, of all places. According to Fox News, it's described as America's most prestigious and selective universities, is warning incoming students, freshmen this year, not to expect, quote, safe spaces and trigger-free existence during their time at University of Chicago, excuse me. According to Fox News, in a letter sent to the class of 2020, university officials said one of the defining characteristics of the school is its unwavering commitment to freedom of inquiry and expression. Civility and mutual respect are vital in the campus culture, the letter states, but it is not at the expense of shielding students from unpopular opinions. And essentially they said there will be no safe spaces and no so-called the trigger warnings. In other words, oh, this word is triggering me or this event is triggering me and it's scary and icky and ooh. No, University of Chicago says go pound sand, grow up here and deal with it because you're going to be adults going out into the real friggin' world where people actually tell you to go fuck yourself. So they're actually doing part of what universities, colleges, schools, and all these other educational facilities are supposed
Should be doing.
Right.
And it's Chicago.
Of all places,
right?
Right. They're actually preparing these kids to go out and be adults and grown-ups.
And you know what? They may actually get some real attorneys out of this and no ambulance chasers or
Right.
personal injury.
People
acts,
who
right?
think because they've actually
Right.
passed a bar or whatever, they know what the hell they're
Right, and
talking
passing
about.
a bar doesn't mean driving by the club.
Right, not what I did to get here.
Right.
Which is a big
And
thing
not
for me, is
ordering
to be able to
something.
pass a bar and not just go into it.
That's a huge thing. So the fact that you could do that, you're practically a lawyer.
Well, and I always think of what was the guy from Catch Me If You Can, the con artist there, Frank Abagnale.
Yeah, Abagnale.
Yeah,
right.
He passed a bar and he never went to law school a day.
Makes sense.
So
lawyers aren't that smart.
No.
That's basically what we're saying.
no, I know plenty of lawyers that'll agree with you. Smart ones.
Yeah,
Right,
right. Like,
smart ones will.
Saudi Arabians are pilots. Right?
Oh, wow! Hold on a second. Oh, I wasn't quick enough. I wasn't quick enough on the record scratch. Okay. But yeah, so you actually have debunking the past year of safe spaces from Trump people and free speech and just about anything in which these little weasels that are going into college the last few years are calling offensive. You now have a higher education place that's saying that's not how the real world works. Clint, I know this warmed the cockle of your heart.
Yes.
And do you see other universities actually having the stone to do this? What? And and actually,
Okay, I caught that. Just want to let you know up front, I caught that.
inside joke. And actually go forth with this and maybe start following suit.
I think some, but the pendulum's going to have to swing back the other way eventually,
Always,
right?
always.
And I think you're starting to. I was so surprised that it was the University of Chicago,
Right.
That did this. Following suit, I would almost guarantee that UC Berkeley would be next.
That's where I expected it to be from, exactly right.
Right,
there.
yeah.
UC Berkeley.
That's what I'm thinking.
Bingo.
I'm thinking UC Berkeley and Harvard, like just some real right wing schools coming out ahead of this thing.
Harvard.
Yeah, I do think there's going to be other schools that are going to follow suit. Just because I think it's so ridiculous, and I think that there are some chancellors and so forth that actually want students to get a good education and learn the power of debate and argument. And look, it's always just baffled me that universities, I mean, this is supposed to be the bastion of free thought and expression and debate.
Yep.
And so the fact that it's silenced, or that there are so many universities that really want to shield their students from like opposing or offensive viewpoints, does that not defeat the whole purpose of the university?
Yeah.
Or at least what it was supposed to be designed for. I mean, talk about killing an entire generation of critical thinkers, right?
Yeah, and it's
How
not
are
even-
they supposed to problem
it's
solve
not
the
even
real
killing
world
them.
or
It's-
deal with? No, it is
it's
killing. No,
never
it's killing,
developing it.
But that's what I mean. You're killing an entire generation of innovators and problem solvers and people who are willing to have debate and find the tough answers. And I mean, these people are going to be. I mean, how are they going to find the next cure for whatever,
Yeah.
or figure out the next design for something great? Do you really think this sissy generation that we're breeding would be able to get us to the moon in under a decade?
Here's the corollary to that, though.
I agree. I agree with your analogy. Sorry, and I don't want to cut you off, easy, but I agree with that. That is probably the greatest use of analogy for that is getting to the moon. When JFK said, "Hey, we're going
by the end of the decade."
By the end of the decade,
yeah,
and they did it.
Yeah,
you're right, because that took problem solving.
Absolutely,
those scientists didn't just sit in a room and agree with everything. There was a lot
doesn't work, and then
or hey, we're doing it this one way. Oh, okay.
No, we can't. Here's what
exactly. Here's why, and here's the science behind it. And I'm not gonna. And that's how we solve problems. BZ, sorry, sir.
That's all right. There's one thing that's going to be made remarkably easy because of all this. Cream always rises to the top. Yeah. And because everyone else is so incredibly pedestrian, what you'll find out is that people are exceptional. They'll stand out even more.
That's an icky word.
Than anybody before. You'll find out that those people who are superior programmers, superior thinkers, they will be much more easy to identify.
Yeah.
Much more easy.
And like you said, it'll be completely.
And they will, and people and businesses will identify them, and they will find them, and they will embrace them because they'll be so unique in their thought patterns, in the way they think, in their creativity.
Yeah.
You know, there's a venue to be creative here that never existed during, the Stone Age, for example. Digital. The way to think outside the box, which is interesting because when people think of something like, for example, Uber, who is it just now, I ask you, that's attempting to crush Uber?
The government.
Taxis.
The government.
Oh, wait.
And cities.
And government
primarily
unions.
run by Democrats.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the free thinking that these people, millennials and Gen Zs, have come out with, that thinking now is attempted to be crushed by those people on the left.
And it happens all the time.
How ironical. How ironic. Is that not?
It's by design.
It is by design.
It's
Because
by design.
what it does is you just turn them into a whole bunch of lemmings who never learn to stand up, fight for themselves, or fight for what they believe
Right,
in.
no, this is the way it's going to be because Uber is big business and it's bad and it's killing the jobs in the.
It's killing the taxis who've literally had the monopoly on transportation in
Right,
cities
who has
for
to pay
years.
us to operate.
And it's so funny
a lot.
because, do you remember Time Warner and the big lawsuits with cable back in the early 90s?
Yep.
What happened? They were saying, you're too big of a monopoly. There's no other people that are allowed to play in the game.
Yes.
But now you have competition, right? You have DirecTV, Dish, all these other little Cox and all the other ones.
That happened to Bell.
Right, it happened to Bell Atlantic.
Bell?
Yep, Ma Bell went gone because of it. So
Didn't it happen to the railroads also?
yeah, it's
Southern
weird, right?
Pacific, right?
So, and
Actually, they went out, and then there are only 7 Class 1 railroads in the United States now, whereas before there were probably 100.
how would you know that?
I just
Who
happen
even
to know
knows that?
Right, who does
I
know
do.
that?
What the hell's a class?
do.
Look,
What's the railroad? What's the
BZ,
railroad that's in
light
this
rail
area?
does not count.
What?
What's the railroad that's in this area? Union Pacific. They service the West.
It's a light rail, right? It's regional transit. I think is the railroad in this area. Everybody rides it for free. They go to the bad area to the good area, rob people, and then go back. I think that's what it is.
That's one.
Regional transit.
Uh,
State sponsored.
Everybody wants passenger rail. Ask yourself,
Right.
and will leftists give you the true answer on this? And they won't. Is there any passenger rail service on the planet that makes money?
No.
Because all the leftists want passenger rail. And they say it'll make money left and right. Is there anyone, anywhere, Europe?
Yes, the high-speed rail here in California that goes from Bakersfield to. Oh, never mind.
The train to nowhere that's going to take all this diesel fuel?
Amtrak. That.
Oh.
No,
that's not.
no.
Oh wait,
No.
did you know the state of California, Caltrans, has a train?
No, but if you hum
Welcome
a few
to
bars,
Surprise
maybe
Sean.
I can pick it up on the coda.
Oh, good, I'm going to get pissed. Go on.
No, it loses money left and right.
That's exactly why I'm going to get pissed.
No, but Caltrans has a train that they operate, and I'm wondering if it's because they don't fix any of the frickin' roads that they bring in so much.
The state
money
of California has Caltrain and Metrolink.
Yes,
That,
but Caltrain is actually run by Caltrans,
And they lose money.
yeah,
Wow.
they-
There's not one passenger system, even the TGV in France, which makes money. Not one of them. They are all funded by the government, which is why leftists love them.
This segment brought to you by Trains Are Bullshit. As authored by
Here's
PC.
another little...
Well, and they're also ridiculously inefficient right now because they're not upgraded to design to meet the needs. You know, when we were in Texas, we were interviewing a guy who
Right,
was...
there's no stripper poles on trains.
Damn! That
There's-
is so sad!
That's what
Are
I'm
you
saying.
disappointed? I know I am.
So Box. So Box Wine Girl actually stood up and did a dance, and
And
said,
after I was done, the person sitting to my right did as well.
right, which was
was
amazing.
weird,
It was
yes.
like kind of crazy. It was, and she takes a big sip. So
And we have people who've been on the super train from L.A. to San Diego. Which one was that? Is that Metrolink? Is that Caltrain?
LA to San Diego.
Yeah.
The train?
Amtrak operates the
Amtrak
Coast
operates.
Surfliner.
And there,
If it's not Amtrak, it could be Metrolink.
and allegedly, Carrie in the chat room said she took that train and there was a stripper pole on it. So
Oh, there
you're
was.
just taking
No,
the wrong-
that's
Okay.
a handrail. That's a handrail. So listen, you're doing
That's
it wrong.
right. If you're
Hang on,
drunk
hang
and
on.
you fall down,
Yeah.
the handrail looks like
That's-
a stripper pole
Carrie,
vertically.
Carrie, you're doing it wrong. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you made some money on the train. That's awesome. If there's video, post it. Sean at SHR Media.
How do I get it?
This is your segment. It's in green.
Oh man,
On that note, we're up against the break.
I don't know how I get thrown under the
When
bus.
we come back,
How is it
when we
me?
come back, Gunmageddon in California.
It's a Gunmageddon.
All this and more. Sackheads Radio Show, SHR Media.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website, click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Millman. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians. A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean. Dude, I'm not saying Kyle. Sackhead Clint. All good friends of ours usually show up drunk. Also starring Sacco as producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
What?
And welcome back to the Sackheads
And
Radio
welcome
Show.
back to the Sackheads Radio Network.
We're not playing Repeater tonight, are we?
Are we playing Repeater tonight?
We're not playing repeater tonight. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the sound. I know a couple people are complaining.
What are they complaining about?
That there's. Don't worry. I don't even know why I would explain it to you. But yeah, there's.
You know why? Because I've run the board a couple times, so I might be able to help. Did you try the slidey thingy?
Okay, moving
right
along.
The ST.
Right. So you.
That's
so
a technical
So
term
here's what you
for
do,
it.
Sean. It operates on PFM. We went through this already, right? You take the slidey thing and you move it like up and down a lot. And if that doesn't work, then you just turn the whole thing off and say, let's go drink.
Okay. So we.
All else fails.
What?
Right, there you go.
What's the problem? That's how we solve issues,
That's
Sackets. Listen,
absolutely correct.
anybody that saw us at Freedom Fest
When
knows
all
that this
else
is how we
fails.
problem solve.
Alcohol.
I'm trying to figure it out. I have a feeling it's not necessarily an issue on our end. It might be a feed problem with the server, and I'll try to rectify
Right.
that.
We're not going to take responsibility for the fact that you can't hear this correctly. Okay? So stop trying to blame your problems on us, you stinking liberals. It's clearly take some personal responsibility. Maybe you have garbage equipment. Maybe our stuff is awesome.
Oh wait, Sean, isn't that a slap in the face to Sacco? Didn't he assemble all of that?
Yes, he did. That's why I'm saying our stuff's good. I'm having Sacco's back right now.
Okay.
Not that I could reach it with all that fur. Anyways.
Gunmageddon.
Coming
to California.
Look, so
I think it's here.
Folks.
It's here. And so I think this is interesting. California is what's the technical term? We saw it once. I think Cammie gave us the technical term. Batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy.
So I think California is batshit crazy politically. But there is a strong segment of the population that is still pro-gun. Typically, gun legislation, when it has gone to the voters, has not fared well historically.
Right.
So there's we talked on
Logic hasn't fared well.
Logic has
historically
not fared well historically.
in California.
But in California, there are some people that still like to shoot. They like guns. They're pro 2A. They understand. Some of them just like to shoot, but some of them actually understand the historical context. And it's weird. You would think that people that like to shoot would actually study the freaking Constitution and know what they're talking about before they engage in arguments with people, particularly if they're personal injury lawyers, but that's another story. What? Did I say something?
No.
Okay.
You were just talking about that moron. Go ahead.
I mean, I like to shoot too, but okay. So Jerry Brown signed this wacky legislation that made a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be illegal in California. And the reason they passed a lot of these gun laws is because they were trying to get ahead of this Gavin Newsom-sponsored legislation that was so over the top and overreaching in what it was trying to accomplish that they knew it was going to fail in the voters. In the election.
I've heard two. Excuse me for interrupting, but I've heard two things that Gavin Newsom was going to put on the ballot in November. One was background checks for ammunition, and the other one
was signed into law.
That's what I thought that was going. So if that's
Moonbeam
not
took
the
care of that
issue,
one.
So no, he was.
What was he going to do?
His was so far-reaching in terms of, I think he was trying to outlaw like all semi-automatic rifles with not even making it to where you could have a break top and top load and I mean his was so over the top with what they were trying to do that the legislature said, "Oh, we're going to get our butts kicked."
See, I thought it was going to be anything with a detachable magazine.
That's where they want
So
to go.
they've already kind of gone there.
Yeah.
They've already kind of gone there. They took out the whole bullet button thing. So anybody with a bullet button is either going to have to register if they're law enforcement, right? They're going to have to register it as an assault weapon and be exempt, get a letter for it, or it's going to be illegal.
Now, did you see the answer that Bullet Button had to that?
Yes, but for right now, bullet button is going to be a no-go anymore. So the guy who invented the bullet button actually already had a fix for it.
Yes, he does.
Smart man.
He's very intelligent.
But
that's a great video.
It is. But the point is that you're now making a whole bunch of citizens that were legal now criminals.
Yeah,
again here in California.
That's insane.
So it's background check for buying ammunition.
Yes.
I think it's a $25 fee for your background check when you want to buy ammunition. I think there's a cap of like 50 rounds. So that's one box of pistol
per
ammo.
$25. So there's a $25 tax essentially.
So yeah, so it's essentially a 50% tax on ammunition, just so they can run a background check on you to buy bullets.
Right.
Hey, you know what, folks? Reload.
Hey, you know what?
Get a reloading machine.
Oh yeah.
Reload
You know
your own
what, folks?
ammo.
Buy a couple thousand rounds before January and get it out of the way.
That's right.
There's going to be an ammo shortage again.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
when we had a run on ammo?
Oh,
you couldn't
yeah.
even get 22? Yeah, there's going to be another run on
I don't
ammo.
know why
Guaranteed.
Smokey and the Bandit comes to mind. Either way, a lot of people are going to be eastbound and down.
Yeah, they are.
Well,
I need a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a goddamn hurry.
As a former range master, I can tell you, I can give you some little insight into why there's ammo shortages.
Quit bragging.
Number one. Okay, all right.
No, go ahead.
Well, now you
Not all of us could be
bragging.
range masters. I
Come
mean,
on.
jeez.
Come on, Nick Nolte, tell us all about it.
Number one, the military
Down and out in
gets
SHR.
precedence.
Right. And that's fine.
And number two, ammunition manufacturers run one line at a time. So they cast all the dies one line at a time. So if they make 9, that's it. If they make 223, that's it. So the most popular are 9 and 223. So that's always going to get precedent.
Makes sense.
So if you try to order 9 and 223,
But
those are the
22.
most, and 22.
And 22, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, the military doesn't take precedent over it. I think a lot of people are buying ammunition because they kind of see the writing on the wall.
Well, in California, they sure as hell should.
Right. And
Yeah, but
And
nationwide.
when I said
Black powder.
Black power?
Black.
I don't understand what that has to do with anything of what we're talking about
I could
right
give
now.
an answer to that right now, but I'm not going to.
Probably smart.
As to the
we like
definition-
Ken, and we don't want him to leave SHR.
No, I love Ken.
I love Ken
Did
too.
you hear it? I love you.
Ken, notice Sean didn't say he loves you, and I did, and BZ did. That's
Ken-
because Sean is a racist, and we all know that.
our love need
That's
not,
a given.
Ken, our love need not be spoken.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Some things are
But
simply
here,
exist.
you know, and here's the other issue. Like, and just to clear up, when I said I'm okay with the military taking precedence, I mean as the private business. If I have a large order from the military sitting there and a whole bunch of smaller orders, I'm going to go with the large order because you know they're jacking up the funds anyhow to make a lot of money. Plus, like you said, the fear of what's going on with this administration, both federally and in the state, has turned around and really caused people to have an influx in purchasing. And I know many people who in the last 6 months have purchased an abundance of ammunition because you have to. And because it is sad. And like you said, there's a $25 tax per box now on the state of California. It's just like cigarettes, gasoline, everything else they don't want you to touch and be able to afford. So they just keep taxing it until it's no longer reasonable.
Well, for those who are thinking about reloading, like you mentioned, Clint, I would suspect that folks, reloaders in California and anywhere in any leftist or liberal state, you better get your black powder right now because it's already classified as an explosive, but it's not a class 1.
Right. So you
Okay.
can
Yes.
still you can
But
so you can still
wait
possess
for the
it for
feds
purposes
to
of
reclassify it.
God damn feds. Particularly the anyways.
We're breaking
don't
up
go
here.
there.
We're breaking up. We're breaking up.
I
Hold
can't.
on, I'm getting a signal. Signal's getting weak.
Why'd my microphone keep turning off? I don't even understand what's happening.
So, but now we get to the referendum on guns in California.
Yeah, so Newsom's proposition is going to be Proposition 63. It still does some other things, like trying to ban all semi-automatics and doing all kinds of. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Now, a lot of what Brown signed was in Newsom's legislation, but his legislation actually goes a little bit further, and it's still on the ballot. So there's a couple things with this that I want to talk about. Number one, Democrats always champion themselves as protectors of the poor, right? The downtrodden, those that can't afford to take care of themselves. They help them. Well, who's this law going to hurt? Some of us can afford that $25 a box of ammunition tax. So some people are actually going to be just fine. They're going to be a little pissed off spending extra money getting rounds. But you know what? The people that live in the poor in the poorer areas of town, perhaps the higher crime areas, the folks that maybe have one box of ammunition in order to practice with, and they keep a gun in the house to protect their family from the other hoodlums and folks in their neighborhood that's threatening them that in these higher crime areas, they're not going to be able to afford this.
Right.
So who are you really hurting? You're really hurting those in those poorer neighborhoods. You're really hurting those in those higher crime areas.
The response would be, one, they don't care, they couldn't give a shite less, or two, they already know, are perfectly cognizant of where people in poor neighborhoods get their firearms.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the law-abiding people in poorer neighborhoods that are there because they're not making the funds to be able to lift themselves out of that situation.
Now, see that you are not thinking properly. You need to be sent in for regrooving.
Right? No, but this is the problem,
Like a
right?
bad
Because
tire.
I'm not thinking like a damn progressive, right?
No.
It's like
Regrooving.
What I suspect.
I need re-education.
Yes.
Re-education.
No, it's like a bad tire. What I suspect is that leftists believe that people in poor areas don't need firearms. What do they need firearms for?
Well, not only either that, or are the people on the left so racist where they believe they're going to get them anyways, so it's not going to affect them, right? It's going to affect the richer white people that it can afford to do it because, well, they're going to get their guns and ammunition anyways.
And that's how
so.
they
So
sell it.
let's go after. But nobody talks about that.
Right.
There has not been one person that I've seen. I have not seen an article about this. I might have to write one and put it on SHR. But there has not been one article that I've seen that talks about how this hurts the poor. This hurts the single mom who's trying to protect her family because she lives in a gang-infested area, and maybe she doesn't want to break the law.
Right.
Right.
Nor should she want to
the
break
single
the law.
dad. Right.
She should be able to defend herself at a reasonable cost.
And do we think that they don't exist?
Of course they exist.
Of course they exist.
Well, and listen, you talk about middle class.
And how is this? I'm sorry, Sean, to interrupt, but I'm kind of on a tangent here.
No,
I'm getting a little irritated. But how does this not impact that single mother's or that poor family's Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, or their natural right for self-defense?
Well, and middle class now does not make enough money to be able to afford this tax.
Let me
for
throw
a
this
reasonable amount of ammunition, and I mean reasonable. You're looking at what 100. Even if you bought 10 boxes, that's an additional $250 on top of the cost of the ammunition.
Yes, which means people aren't going to be able to practice as much because they're not
So
going to
they
be able to
won't be
afford
proficient.
it. Which means they're not going to be proficient. Which means when they try to use the firearm to defend themselves, an innocent child is going to be killed, and it's going to be the fault of the leftists. Good job killing children.
Well, do you buy
baby killing
200 rounds of ammunition or sneakers? That's a hell of a spot to put
or
to put
$250
people there.
worth of food.
Right.
Here's another interesting stat. 50% of the new registrations of newly purchased firearms in the United States within the past 5 years have been women.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The
For vehicle registration
and the purchase of firearms
because that's scary
by women has gone up
because they should not be driving. Send all your hate mail to Clint at SHR.
Well,
which means they probably shouldn't be shooting either if you think about it, because
it's hate mail at shrmedia.com is now the
wow.
Hate mail specific.
In this room, you're going to say that.
It just got a little uncomfortable.
Hell no, boys. What else we got on tap?
How about voting? Why don't you mention voting too?
Oh yeah, let's end women's suffrage.
So let's go back a little bit to
Jesus Christ.
Oh boy.
Sign your petition.
Did the
Let's
AC
send it to the White House?
BZ, did the AC just go on full blast?
Yeah, I hope so.
There's frost on the windows all of a sudden. I don't know what happened.
And it's not just the condensation off my voluminous forehead either.
Oh, I just.
That's good. Hey, at least I didn't say don't trust anything that bleeds for 7 days and keeps living. I didn't say that. I would never go down that road because that would just be a little much right here, right? Like, that's just. I don't want to lose listeners.
So, BZ, you had a good week?
yeah. You know what I think
What's
is
the
interesting?
problem?
I noticed outside it was 7:30 when I first got here, and it's starting to get dark already.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Hey, isn't that interesting about the
funny.
weather?
Now, why are you bringing a race
Shorter.
into this? We're talking about women right
the
now.
days are
BC.
getting shorter, so that's nice. And
all right, so we were talking about proposition ballot ending women's suffrage. Oh yeah, guns. So what?
Oh God.
That's a logical conclusion, folks. Just follow it.
Do you care to respond? No? Okay, go on.
So
we should repeal the 19th Amendment then.
That was you that said that, not me.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was BZ. What a sexist bastard.
What a sexful bastard.
I believe all that came out of Mike
sexy.
5.
I'm sorry, I meant sexy. Sexy
Thank you.
bastard.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I'll represent that.
So there's 35 million folks roughly in California, and there's estimates that about 1/5 of those people own guns.
Yes.
That's a significant amount. So there's actually an effort underway right now by groups to get on the ballot a proposition to overturn these gun laws that were signed into law by Governor Brown. Now, I don't remember, and BZ, you may be able to remember this because you're old. Has there?
I do, Sean. I knew that was coming. I knew it like 2 sentences ago.
No, that's because history repeats itself. So you probably heard it about 70 years ago.
Okay, right. Back in the Jurassic and the Cenozoic eras.
It was funny when Jefferson said it to me. And it's still funny now.
Right, Jefferson said it. It was hilarious. Woodrow Wilson told it to me. I just about died, and now you're doing it again. It was great. I don't remember a time, and maybe you do, and Sean, you might. Yeah, probably not, because you were in Boston, where there has been a voter-driven or a citizen-driven proposition related to gun rights. I can't think of one.
Gun rights? No.
In California, for
No.
California law proposition.
No.
And so this tells me that voters are fired up. And I think that the legislature was right in their assessment that gun groups would be so caught up if they left everything up to Newsom's proposition, because I think Brown signed like only 6 of the 10. I think there were 4 that he didn't sign.
Yeah, one
There
of
might
them
have
was a
been
high cap
3.
mags at 10.
Right.
Ammunition purchases, prescribing purchases of ammunition over the internet.
I think some of Newsom's laws would not have exempted law enforcement.
And yeah, that's a good point. I don't know about the exemptions.
I think Newsom's would not have exempted law enforcement, and I think.
But it shouldn't matter.
I think the governors do.
Because you know what?
You're right.
There's always been exceptions for the law enforcement as a department to get mail deliveries.
Right.
As a federal agency, it's very, very easy for them to order down under that. It should not matter. What matters is they're doing everything they can on the heels of terrorist attacks, Orlando, San Bernardino, and the other
making us
ones.
unsafe in the progress.
And making us unsafe when we know average response times for law enforcement is going through the roof as we speak, because agencies, especially in California, having a hard time maintaining its employees, either for financing or morale in the department. They're leaving the state, going to other agencies,
or they're not going other. Let me look at
They're
law
just changing
enforcement.
career.
Yeah, look at law enforcement nationwide now. Right?
Hiring is extremely important. Hiring always goes through cycles.
It is, but how many cops with 1 or 2 or 3 years on are going to be so? Just maybe this wasn't going to be their first shot.
Well, what do
Maybe
we
they're
know
like,
about
why would I
they
stay
go
in
to the
this?
fire department.
Right? Yeah.
What do we know
absolutely.
about millennials and Gen Zers? They change jobs frequently.
Yes.
Law enforcement is no different.
Yes.
Right.
And it's
Which is sad.
It's very,
But
very
it's very
sad.
true.
But
It
it's
is
also
but
change
it's,
jobs.
but it's sad. Right, and when things get hard, they quit. Right? They run away. Everybody gets a trophy. It's a safe zone. And look, things get hard in law enforcement. It's really hard for folks in law enforcement right now, and I think they're going to lose some good employees.
Right.
But to kind of get back on track here, I think that the governor and the legislature may have awoken a sleeping giant.
Yes.
I think that if this group is getting underway in terms of getting these signatures to get this on the ballot to overturn some of these gun laws, that shows how pissed off that 1/5 of California's 35 million people are, and how motivated they are. And if those people come out to the polls to vote even for that one proposition, that means you're going to have a more conservative turnout in the state of California. And hey, Dems, I think you should stay home because California is in the bag. Watch how close Trump gets to Hillary, if that's the case.
And like the key point that you brought up there, and there's also senators.
Oh, yeah.
And you also have the California legislation.
Yeah, the legislative races.
You're going to have people really, and I mean really starting to jump in where they weren't here before. They didn't want to be there before. They weren't coming out because they thought their vote didn't matter in California, or they just didn't give a shit because there was you had a choice between the uber progressive and the lesser progressive.
Right.
Well, now you may inspire some more conservative people to start running for office. You may start inspiring people to show up to the polls and actually voting, and you may unseat some people.
And that's the big one, because I think Republicans that are running, you may have enough Republican turnout, or at least conservative or blue dog Democrats that understand gun rights, or at least they think they understand gun rights, but they're pro firearm, that are going to unseat that Democrat incumbent. You could see a shift.
Yeah, there could be a brain dead lawyer out there,
right,
who may
actually vote,
right, and
for
figure it out,
right.
But no, you'll get your Joe Biden-like Democrats.
God, I
through
wish
the door.
you would run. We would have years of material.
You know what?
I would vote for Biden just to have 4 years of material.
Even if it was nothing else, I would love it if Biden all of a sudden ran for governor of California.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to see him up close and personal on a regular basis, would just be outstanding.
Yes.
And like I said, you don't even have to tell him he's not vice president anymore.
No.
Just put him on
Call
a
him
plane.
Mr. Vice President and have him speak.
Just put him on a plane and tell him he's being brought to the new White House.
Right.
Oh, no, and by the way, you're in charge now. Wow, this is freaking great. All right, beers for everyone, and all you broads take the clothes off. Let's go. That's like his first.
Hey, I heard on a radio show once. These guys were crazy. They used to dare me to do shit. I did like half of it. It was great. But stripper pulls on trains. I heard that's a problem. So I'm instituting
That's
that.
right, it is.
Anyone?
All right, who's got my ankles, boys? It's time for a keg stand.
All you have to do is craft the
prayer
argument in
breakfast.
California and tell people that they're this far away from 1/5 of the people in California being made criminals.
Yes.
If you had somebody
No, they're
craft
realizing
that
that.
argument.
That's the point of this article.
I can see the mic dingle-dongling. I don't know what
You don't see my dingle
That's the technical
doing
term.
nothing, mister. And the fact
No, the
that you're
shorts
looking
are a little short, actually.
kind of impressive. I'm not going to lie. You're staring at it, so of course it's going to peek out and say hello.
Well, it just seems
It's
like
a cute little guy.
It just seems like something's missing.
My smeckle.
It just seems like something's missing.
Yeah, it is. Smartass. Now what?
But this is a family show, so put the mouse away there.
It's a
Spider-Man.
family show.
So, but you'll also, like I said, California is the liberal petri dish for the entire country. This is where the liberal bacteria goes to grow on a state level and then gets introduced into other states.
Yeah.
The thing that this also does is tell Democrats in other states what not to do for gun control. And if you have this big awakening that you're speaking of, and I think you will see other states start backing off referendum-style gun control
Exactly.
and going to congressional.
It's a bellwether for the rest of the nation.
Yes.
If it works in California, fine. If it doesn't, well, then perhaps we have to reconsider a few things. What were some of the other things, Clint, that they were thinking about introducing?
I think that they wanted to execute anybody that believed in guns.
Yeah.
I think now we're still trying to shore this part of the story up.
We have to wear the Scarlet G on us.
Right. We have to wear the Scarlet G on us to show that you're a gun owner.
And regrooving. I like that. We're going to send
was
to
that a
regrooving camps.
Regrooving camp?
Yeah, like a bad tire.
Yeah, you just
Right.
go in and regroove it and get it straightened out again.
Squirt guns for everybody. I think Google is involved, or Apple is
Google
involved
has a
in
big
some
play
of
in this, right?
Yeah.
They're actually doing
big-
Squirt Guns for Guns campaign that you have to turn in your illegal weapons.
And then you get a squirt gun
Right,
to
which
replace it with.
are currently legal, but come January it may not be.
It may not, because they're mean looking and they hurt people's feelings, and all of this state is a safe zone.
Right.
So
And
we
it's
want to
so
make it
funny
safe for
because-
everybody, which should make the ambulance chasers happy.
Right.
Because they're all about hugging everybody,
And
right?
they want everyone to be safe,
Right, free
don't
shit
they?
for everybody, so just give free squirt guns. You can still shoot, right, like water balloons or whatever. You can still get your target practice in.
Ladies and gentlemen, take stock in the Nerf Corporation right now, because eventually Democrats and leftists are going to insist before you go out the door, you're going to have to be wearing a full-body Nerf suit.
That would be so much fun.
Because if you fall down, nothing can happen. You can't be injured.
Nerf wars are
You can
dangerous,
hit
though,
other
because it
people.
teaches
Nobody
violence.
cares. If you're not wearing your Nerf suit, you're going straight to Nerf hell.
Nerf hell.
Nerf hell.
I think all jails should be Nerf zones now.
When inmates get mad, they should just give them those Nerf swords and like,
wail on
just
each
let them
other.
wail on
Yeah.
each other.
Perfect.
It's
That'll
all the
be
ones
so
that work
much
in the
fun.
kitchen, dip them in water and freeze them.
See, now why do you have to think that criminals would come up with something like
Because
that?
they're criminals and that's what they do.
That's not true. They would be happy to have a Nerf fight.
Wait a minute. If Sean thought of that, does that mean he's a criminal?
Sean's just a sadistic bastard.
There's a totally big
different thing. Yeah. Freeze the Nerf darts. Remember, you used to do that with paintballs?
Oh, yeah.
Not that I ever did that with paintballs.
By the way, I don't encourage this, but before we go to break, I don't encourage this, but I have seen before, there's these guys that go out and set up a bait bike on their own and videotape people stealing it.
Yes!
And do all sorts of horrible things to them.
Yes!
It's great!
They like tie it to like a fishing.
But one of the ones they did is they lifted under an underpass, and they were across the street in bushes, and every time someone started to get on the bike and ride away, they lit them up with frozen paintballs. And there was like
Ooh, I
three-
like that.
Oh, it was awesome. If you have a chance, just all you have to do is Google like bait bike or something like that. And the other one, they had the rope tied up to it, like all these different things. Some guy would come running out of nowhere
I've
and
seen
tackle
that
him
one.
off of
Yep.
it. Yeah, and there's a great video with the rope tie off where the guy tried to steal it, tries to turn around and get into it with the pranksters.
Yeah.
And the prankster beats the bejesus out
Look,
of him.
there's another great video out there, kind of along the same lines. It's called "Women in Prison," and they do this thing with frozen hot dogs.
Hey, we're up against
Anyway,
the break.
Well, where are we going, folks?
And on that note,
When we come back, Hillary Clinton's lost a little bit of her bounce. All that and more.
No,
on the
she's
Fat
working
Kids
out?
Radio Show.
Is she working
live
out?
on the,
No?
She's twerking live on
She's
the SHR
twerking
Media
live on
Network.
SHR.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean. Dude, I'm not saying capitalist. Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sako as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Well, does that work better? There it is. Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show.
And there we go.
Where the hell's Sacco when you need him? Damn it! In San Francisco.
Yeah, but he's coming back, sort of, maybe.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show. It's been a fun night already. I have an old friend who wants the call-in number.
You going to give it to her?
Him, yes. What? Are you starting on me too?
No. No, I just picked that's another pronoun. It could have been Zim or Zer, Z, Zod, Zed.
Yeah, oh, God, is that not annoying or what? Oh, man. I know you said there was some university, Zep.
Yes, the University of New York says that according to the federal government, you have to address each individual by their preferred pronoun or you can face federal repercussions. Isn't that interesting? It's a lying piece of crap. That's not true. That's how they choose to interpret that.
Right. And once again, interpretation is just ridiculous. So let's get, speaking of ridiculous interpretation, Hillary Clinton, ladies and gentlemen. So after the DNC, she took quite a bit of bounce in the polls, and everybody was crying that Trump was done. Oh, she's smoking him. He's not winning anywhere. He's putting his foot in his mouth again, and blah, 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 and run for the hills, ma, et cetera, et cetera. Now it turns out that maybe not so fast. You have Florida, which is now within 2 points. Hillary's still leading.
I thought Trump was up by 2.
Was it Trump up by 2?
Yes, Trump is.
I thought Trump is up by after being down by 9.
That's right. He's up by 2
Trump's
in Florida.
up by 2 in Florida
You're right.
now.
And trust me, that came out of Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh, I
when
agree.
he went there and decided that he was going to do that, and Hillary did not
He was
go.
gonna do
Where has
Obama did
Hillary
not
been?
go.
Nowhere.
She has been
Nowhere.
completely.
She's been off the trail.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
Gosh,
Yes.
I wonder why.
Well, and it just depends. You know, you have the medical stuff that everybody's talking about.
Which, look, I'm not trying to get into her medical.
But here's,
I'm really not.
I do want to get into it for a second.
Yeah, it is worth examination.
It is worth examination.
No, I'm not saying it's not worth examination, but I don't want to jump on the medical thing. Like, I mean, I want to be careful with it. It is worth examination because she is going to be a heartbeat away, right? But really, if she's got health issues, wouldn't that be a reason to vote for her? Because look who her running mate is.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say that to be mean, but couldn't that be actually a pro?
Well, but here's the thing, because everyone's talking about her medical issues. You have pictures going around the internet that one of her assistants is always carrying a diazepam auto-injector. I've seen that one. And if you look at it, I've seen about 15 pictures, and it's one of her guys that's always right next to her. If you look at what he's holding in his hand in all of these different pictures, and then you look at a diazepam auto-injector, which is supposed to help with seizures and some other things, it's going to be hard to argue that it's not that.
Well, the glasses that she wore, the Coumadin that she's on, the hypothyroidism that she has, the fact that she's being helped upstairs, the fact that she has a doctor with her wherever she goes 24/7, the fact that she needs a stool, the fact that she needs a pillow, all of these things are present and accounted for. So it's just the left trying to say that there is no validity in it.
But it's funny because back in 2008, there was validity.
Protest too much.
Well, back in 2008, there was validity when they were talking about John McCain. In an article from Salon.com back in the day, Thursday, May 22nd, 2008, it was titled, "What's in John McCain's Medical Records?"
Mm-hmm.
He'll be releasing everything about his repeated cancer surgeries, but he won't release his psychiatric records, which hold clues to the effect of his Vietnam captivity. He survived 3 plane crashes, 4 melanomas, and more than 5 years of POW in North Vietnam, enduring torture and solitary confinement. There would be questions about his health and his fitness for the office he seeks, even if he weren't turning 72 in August of 2008, and even if he were likely going to be running against a man 25 years his junior. That was May 22nd, 2008, Salon.com. Friday, August 19th, 2016, from Salon.com. Medical mudslinging. Right-wingers reach a new low with their smear about Hillary's health. The right-wing smear machine is working at warp speed to convince the nation that Hillary Clinton has brain damage, and so on and so forth. So it goes to show you that, like you said, protest too much. All of a sudden, they don't want you questioning her medical well-being.
Does this shock you, though?
No.
I mean, it really does it?
It just aggravates the bejesus out of me.
Of course it does.
Because, listen, a candidate's health, and they did it to Reagan, too. Both times he ran. A candidate's
still
health,
kicked their ass.
and he still walloped them, does play into it. Now, is it everything? No. Is there a question about Hillary possibly not being able to be well enough to handle the office? Absolutely. And you said, that could be used as a reason to vote for her in some ways.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
No, I meant for some people that may be on the fence about her on the left.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
I don't wish anything ill happens to her. That's not what I'm saying at all.
No,
that's the point, exactly.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying that, look, there may be some people on the left that are like, hey, I really don't like Hillary, but she's got failing health and I really like her running mate. Like, that could be a reason for her to get those people's votes. That's what I'm talking about. I wasn't saying that, I think it's great. I think she's... That's not what I'm saying at all here. But you know who else has been... So she's been kind of silent in MIA. You know who else has been silent is her supporters.
Yes.
Like people within the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Well, and her rallies. For example.
Yes.
As in
minimal.
Crickets.
Yes.
Yes.
And so we came out of the DNC like we were talking about before, and she had all these great numbers. And then all of a sudden, she's disappeared from the trail completely. And not even... It's not even like she's just... All she's doing is these small dinners at people's houses.
Yep.
She's not doing the big town hall stuff. She's not answering press questions. She hasn't had a damn press conference in damn close to a year. A legitimate, open press conference. When you talk about the mainstream media, and we talk about how they go after Trump, every single press conference afterwards, they're attacking him. And they're trying to ask him questions or whatever. They throw softballs to Hillary yet again. That's even if they question her. I mean, you remember the parade when everyone was being held back with jump ropes so they couldn't get close to her? Things like that. It's starting to get scary. What's going on with the Hill Dog? And it does make you wonder about her medical issues. Is she having a medical issue?
But see, that's what I say. This week in particular, not just this week beginning Monday, but in the past 7 days, there have been essentially 6 incidents that have occurred with regard to Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
The first thing is, and I wrote last week, and we just mentioned it here, she needs help getting up steps.
Yes.
She needs help sitting down. She has a pillow wherever she goes. That's become an issue. That's discussed. That's talked about. Then she talks about, and she lies with regard to quote, blaming the black guy, unquote, where she tries to put off her emails and permission for her email system off on Colin Powell, who said essentially, no, I'm sorry, I'm not taking that crap. That's not what I said, and that's not how my server, or anyone else's server for that matter, was set up. There's 2 issues. The third one, she lies again. 15,000 more of her emails are sent out and released when in fact she said in this video before, I sent everything that I possibly could has already been released. Well, that's bull. Then people are saying, oh no, her health is great. Dr. Drew on TV, who's an actual doctor, has one of the most relevant videos that you can watch with regard to, and he's a leftist, saying that he thinks that she actually does have, in fact, some sort of brain damage. That's number 4. Then she emerges as the Secretary of State. It's been released from the Associated Press. It took them 3 years to get this information from the from the State Department, saying that she had a pay-to-play scheme, and over 50% of the contacts that she made as Secretary of State went on to donate to the Clinton Foundation, which then goes to Bill and Hill.
Right.
That's 5. And then number 6, the State Department then comes out and lies to and stops Judicial Watch and also AP from getting their hands on that story. That's just this week.
Right. Well, and it begs the question that Clint asked, or maybe it was you, and I don't remember. It was more than 4 minutes ago. Where the hell has she been? Is it a week of medical? Is it a week of like rest, like, hey, her body needs this or whatever? Or is it total damage control of she's now trying to figure out what else is going to come out from these emails, not only from the State Department.
Yep.
You have the FBI, who's now actively investigating again the Clinton Foundation and some other things going on. And also, what's WikiLeaks going to drop? And we know in the next 2 months they're going to drop a little bit more. We know that's coming. So it goes to show how much bad things are going on in the Clinton camp. And I said this a couple weeks ago, and I hold this to be true still. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm going to sit by the pool and just have a margarita. She's doing enough damage to herself.
If he could just keep his lips zipped.
Well, you look at Louisiana, and
no, that was a beautiful move.
Well, and heartfelt or not, he absolutely did the right thing. Hell, he found it before the president did. You know, for all the people that hated on Bush for what happened with Katrina, at least he did something.
Yes, he did.
This president did nothing. He didn't even speak about it till the 7th day. And somebody joked, and they're like, I saw a picture on Twitter of a map with the arrow from Martha's Vineyard. The vineyard down to Louisiana, and so there you go, Mr. President, I showed you how to get there. He doesn't need to know how to get there. He walks on Air Force One and says, take me to Louisiana.
Well,
and they get him there.
And what was his response? His response was, I'm a lame duck president. It really doesn't make any difference anyway.
Right.
You may as, cue the video for Hillary Clinton saying, what difference does it really make anyway?
But here's the thing is, that shows a little door into his heart, who he really is. Because
he's been phoning it in since 2008.
Right. But this one has really, I think, shown a lot of people. And by not showing up, and Canary Scary in the chat room is 100% right, Hillary just lost Louisiana because of this.
Yep.
And that's a big state.
Trump learned the Bush lesson.
Yes.
Trump learned the Bush lesson, and Hillary didn't.
Right.
That's really, and neither did Obama.
Right. Apparently
because,
not.
Look, Obama didn't go. Hillary didn't go, and the only Republican representing it went. So, yeah. And Flo, I think you're right, BZ. That's the bump that Trump. See what I did there?
Yes, I like it.
That's what he got in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. In response to you, Sean, 2 points about where Hillary has been. Number one, nobody really knows, and number two, most importantly, no one's asking.
Right.
The American media maggots are not asking
where the hell she is.
Question. Not inquisitive at all. Do you remember when the American media maggots said that George Bush doesn't have a curious mind? You can quantify all of American media now as having absolutely no mind, no inquisitive nature whatsoever.
Well,
no curiosity, no questions.
They don't want to attack the prima donna. That's the problem. They've anointed her as the prima donna. She's going to be the prima donna in their eyes. And if she loses, it's going to be 3 straight years of this was an anti-woman campaign. Oh, it's just like they're just going to spin how they do with the prejudice that they instill upon people that don't really exist. And that's what we're going to be stuck with. A couple thoughts out of the chat room that I wanted to share. And one of them was from Mamba. And he said, I honestly think Hillary is playing it close to her vest and hoping Trump can explode all on his own. They are pushing the negative Trump ads hard in Florida in my area. Then Hillary can play the victim if Trump goes at her during the debates and hope it all blows up. Here's the problem. Here's the with that Mamba. I'm not saying you're wrong, but if you look at the numbers that were just released, Hillary's somewhere around 86 million in negative television ads. And then you have her PACs that are add on top of that. Trump is at 16 million on television ads, and his PAC adds another 20-something. And look at how close the numbers are. Now, will he go on a spending spree starting in September, and you're going to see, I absolutely agree that he's going to make up a lot of that gap at some point. But he's using it wisely right now. And listen, we all know Trump controls the media, but not how Hillary controls the media. He gets the attention his way, and they all just run up. I mean, they give it to him for free. Whereas Hillary has to manipulate. I mean, she was on Jimmy Kimmel this week.
Right, with a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Take my blood pressure.
And all that stuff, and just playing the games, which is, it's fine. I don't mind when they go on TV and they go tongue-in-cheek. But while Trump was in Louisiana, Hillary was sitting in Hollywood at Justin Timberlake's house doing a private fundraiser.
Yeah.
And that does show with voters, and not just Louisiana voters, because there are a lot of places who are stricken by wildfires, who have tornadoes on a regular basis. We saw Superstorm Sandy. People who are prone to weather-related incidents will pay attention.
Look, so I'm sorry to interrupt, if I did, but I want to get something in here real quick because I think you bring up a outstanding point. Tying it back to what we talked about with the gun issue in California and how this could actually hurt the Dems. California's having a string of wildfires right now.
Yep.
And if Trump came out to California and started talking about the gun issue and started talking about wildfires and how California is plagued by drought because of the liberal policies and even the liberal some of the policies of the congressional representatives that there is here, that the Dust Bowl because of the lack of water even before we were in a drought, and now we have these wildfires. Look, Trump could make headway in California. People may think I'm out of my mind when I say this.
California has purposely not built waterways or reservoirs or dams.
Yes.
Their water management is terrible.
Yes.
They pissed away literally trillions of gallons of water in a drought through BLM federally because they wanted to save 6 Delta smelt. That's their numbers for their count. That's insanity.
6, yes.
That's insanity. They counted. They actually counted 6 Delta smelt. Sean, those are the F word, bait fish. They are bait fish, and
Wait,
trillions of gallons.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Were allowed to.
What's the F word? Fish? You've
Fish.
said fish like a
Fish,
thousand
gotcha.
times.
Yes, that's
I
it.
don't
Right.
understand.
It's,
It has to
exact-
be the
yep.
F word, fish.
I'm so used to not being allowed to do that on radio.
this is first of all, this is SHR. Second of all, this is Sackheads, and there's whiskey out. So, by the way, why am I the only one drinking the last couple
You
of
bring
times?
all right. You bring up an excellent point. When are we going to consider
every week? Every freaking week, there's
having an after
alcohol
dark.
right up there.
Having it after dark.
Right. Exactly.
Well, it takes planning.
Sackheads After Dark.
It takes planning.
Hey, you know what Sackheads After Dark is?
Next week.
Sad. Right? Sackheads
Yes.
After Dark.
It's
What do we got? It's actually shad.
Right,
It's actually shad.
which is
Yeah.
a fish. It's a
Yeah.
fish.
Beautiful.
How appropriate.
And it's actually shat. It's Sackheads After Twilight. So let's go ahead and yeah,
We're going to shout all over the radio.
we're gonna shat all over the place. Look, next week. So that's planned. But I think Trump. That's 55 electoral votes.
Yeah.
I don't know what the poll numbers are because I know California always pretty much gets written off. But there are some serious issues that Trump could come into California. And look, California went for Arnold Schwarzenegger,
It did.
a Republican.
Well, yeah, until he had his ass handed to him from the propositions. But yeah, you're right. That
but
was
they
a
voted
reaction.
But they
voted him.
They did.
Right.
But this is my point. They voted in Schwarzenegger, a Republican, after Gray Davis because of his perceived role in the electrical issues that we were
You
having.
got to
the
have
power
a Ray
issues.
Davis to get a Schwarzenegger, and you got to have a Jimmy Carter to get a Ronald Reagan.
You do, and guess what? So now we have drought in California. We have the Gunmageddon issue going on in California. We have wildfires in California.
It's ripe fruit.
It is ripe fruit.
Yeah. If
Trump,
he makes a play.
we know you listen to us.
Hey,
Come
Donnie.
out to California.
Donnie, come here a sec. Let's talk.
Yeah, Don Lick.
Yeah.
Move your hair aside so you can hear what I'm saying.
Right.
for
This
a
is
second.
heartfelt now.
We come to California and campaign. Hillary's not going to spend time here.
Oh, she figures she's got it in the bag.
Exactly.
Up.
She figures she has California wrapped up, and I don't know that that's the case.
Got it in the bag like a duffel, like a head.
If Trump makes a play for it, I know he's down in Ohio too.
Close though.
I would like to see Kasich actually sack up and endorse Trump and deliver Ohio to him.
Yeah, he could do it.
He could. The fact that he's not, and he's not honoring his pledge, I hope he gets his ass kicked in his reelection bid too.
And I think he will, because without his support, it's close. It's what, 2-3 points
in Ohio? I don't know what Ohio is.
I think Ohio was pretty.
I thought
close.
Ohio was like 9.
I think Ohio was much closer than that recently. After the bumps have started to fall
I think you're
away.
right, and you know who else is also starting to fall into play for Donald?
Who?
Is Florida. You got to have Florida.
He's ahead.
And you
Yeah,
got
he's
to
up by
have,
2.
You got
He's
to
up by
have
2.
Ohio.
Ohio
If you
and
can
Florida
take
are always
those,
the 2 biggest.
They're always in play.
And Virginia is always a toss-up too. But I agree, Clint. I think that if he makes a play for California, he could do a lot of damage. And again, him showing up with Gunmageddon on the same ticket, even if he doesn't win the state, he could affect a lot of local, because the conservatives are already there.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big, big deal. So,
and I get it. He's trying to win a presidential election. He's not going to come to California to help our situation out. But the fact that it's potentially in play, I think he should spend some time here. Not all of his time here. I understand there's other battleground states that he needs to take. But look, this election is Trump's to lose. I think it was also Romney's to lose. But I like the new direction that Trump is taking. In terms of the tone, the fact that he's staying on message now, he's not just off the cuff, flying off the handle anymore. I think that's going to go bode well for him. So I think that Hillary's scandals again, coupled with Trump staying on message and hammering her on these issues, I think is where you're seeing that bump, and I think it's only going to get better for him.
And you still have conservative Republican. Conservative Republicans and conservative Republican radio personalities and people, pundits, etc., who are saying, not Trump, not Trump.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then what's your alternative? It's a little late for that.
Yeah.
And yet they're still on message. What if these people came over?
Oh, yeah.
You still have to win over the independents.
Yep.
You know what? There are a lot more independents, I think, in California than we realize. And they're waiting.
As evidenced by the fact that a fifth of 35 million own guns.
They're waiting to see where this is going to go.
Yep.
You tell, I don't know, whatever, 25% of, or 1/5 of, what is it?
35 million.
35 million people in California, whatever that would be.
7 million.
To tell them that potentially they're this far away from being made a felon.
Yeah.
When the day before they were a law-abiding citizen.
Right.
Just let that go out.
Yep.
You know, Sean, you were absolutely correct. You said about an hour ago, in the last hour, I think, and I think this is incredibly critical. October, there's more shite coming in October.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I think
and
that...
Assange has... he hasn't just said it. He's as much as promised it. He's not saying what he has, but I don't.
You
think
know it's good.
I don't think it is. Well, it's
you know it's good.
Whatever
if
it
he's
is,
showbiz in this far out,
it's going to be right.
You
from
know it's good.
The source.
Exactly. It's
you
going
don't
to be
showbiz this far out. If
it's good, it's going to be like,
and especially because that's all he is showbiz. Real. I mean, he has his political aspirations.
It's going to be like Hillary Clinton in a clown mask riding a donkey.
Knows what it is.
Ass fucking Bill with like a burning the American flag and flipping off. Like it's going to be
with
something.
Whom addresses the gimp?
Yes, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be like a handwritten confession. I killed X number of people, and I was responsible. It's going to be something ridiculous.
So the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, has sent a message to Katrina Pearson, who's one of Trump's spokespeople, to see if he can work on California. So I think that's important.
Ken, and when you do that, you should have him speak to the Bureau of Land Management with regard to the drought. You should have him speak with regard to the gun situation.
No, he said he wants to talk about BLM.
Yeah, and don't forget.
I don't know if that's Bureau of Land Management. That could be Black Lives Matter.
Well, that could
it's
too.
Ken.
I was talking
Bureau
about
of Land Management. You say that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or Black Lives Matter.
Well, I was talking about the management of the water, drought, the wildfires created because of the drought, the environmentalists creating the situation in the forests where trees could not be logged, where deadfall could not be taken up and removed. That's a situation purposely created by leftists and allowed to stand by California.
I had an interesting conversation about that the other day, and I know we're coming against the break, but again, the leftist mind at work, right? You talk about these forests, and when we go and we put out all these fires nonstop, and don't get me wrong, I think it's horrible when people lose their homes and livelihood. It's terrible, and my heart breaks for them. But one of the things that happens is all that undergrowth is allowed to expand. All that deadfall is allowed to sit there. The land is not stripped. And when we go into areas where the fire is not threatening everything and putting it out, and before all that stuff gets to burn, forest fires use that naturally replenish trees in forests. That's what they do.
Yes,
they
it
get
comes
rid
back.
of the undergrowth, and that way everything can start growing up between it, and the ash turns to fertilizer.
But see, that all comes back to forest management. No one believes in forest management. You can, in fact, manage your forests, which California refuses to do.
Right.
You can manage your water, which California refuses to do. You can pick up trees. You can have controlled burns. When you pick up the dead trees, the deadfall, remove the debris, have them thinned, forest thinned, much easier to manage. I know we're up against the break.
We are. Oh, I just figured somebody else had something else to chime in on that.
We're up against the break. Yeah, good job. You nailed it. What am I supposed
When we
to say?
come back, we're going to talk about the Clinton... What?
That says the Clinton Foundation. Foundation.
All that and more on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media
I love how
Network.
you just read that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean. Dude, I'm not saying capitalist. Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sako as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening as we roll into the last 30 minutes of this completely intellectual and highbrow show. That is the Sackheads Radio Show.
Conservative media done right.
To the best of our ability.
And knowledge.
Conservative media done our way.
Pretty well.
Done decently for a...
Medium rare.
Medium rare. I like mine medium rare. Thank you.
Done rare.
Let's move on to the Clinton Foundation. Foundation. As you so eloquently put it.
I mean, foundation. Yeah, more and more. And BZ, I know you were curious to jump in on this train. See what I did there? Because you brought up trains earlier. Not that Hillary is pulling a train. I mean, maybe she did in her youth. Anyways, I'm digressing. But to jump on the Hillary train, why you would do that, I don't know. More stuff is coming out with this. Maybe that's what's coming out in October is her pulling a... Never mind.
That's Bill.
Toot.
I get to win the engineer hat again. Toot, Hill. Toot,
hey, Hill. Hey, Hill. It's a smokestack. Look, Hill, it's a smokestack.
The engineer hat and the baby diapers.
Hill, can I be the caboose next time?
But Sean, what do you mean?
Just saying, they have a train set in the house. Go ahead, Clint.
No, I know what you meant. Why? More keeps coming out where it was 50% of the people that visited the State Department had access or whatever was...
More than half the people outside the government who met with Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State gave money either personally or through companies or groups to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, that.
And, you're seeing... we kind of touched on it a little bit last segment. You're seeing Democrats actually distancing themselves from Hillary Clinton.
But it's interesting to see how the media writes it up, because now the next sentence after that says, it's an extraordinary proportion indicating her possible ethics challenges.
Yeah, possible you kind of have to write it like that, right?
What
challenges.
You can if you're trying to defend her. You have to.
If that was a Republican, or if that were George Bush...
But we already know that.
That'd be possible ethics violation.
No, they'd say he's a crook.
Possible.
On the flip side of that, you're seeing some Republicans kind of getting in line with Trump. Trump's calling for a special prosecutor. Having an independent investigation into this.
Yes.
I know that there was a senator that sent a letter to the Justice Department basically saying, hey, why did the FBI not look into this?
Yes,
when there's
exactly.
Clear,
and was the FBI going to do that? I do not. I remember hearing something about the FBI perhaps...
That's a quote from Bill Clinton? Potentially? That's unconfirmed, right?
Sorry, go on.
Hey, look, we got 23 minutes left. We can do General Jackassery for 23 minutes.
No, because I have two stories I want your feedback on.
All right. So you're seeing Republicans that have kind of been a little distant from Trump now kind of really being in sync with him on this call for special prosecutor and calls to look in on this. Look, Hillary's in trouble. And I don't know if she's not around. I know you guys talked about health issues before, but is she around because she doesn't want to have to defend this?
I think it borders on she's gotten away with it for so long that she almost feels as if she's not motivated to particularly address this. If she puts it on ignore
How can she
mode,
I mean, she's been on defense for so long about this. What is she going to say? I mean, these emails are out. Who knows what's coming out in October? But what is she going to say?
Well, it's pay to play. It's clear.
It is.
She had 6,000 donors. And the point is, she can't walk away from that because of the 6,000 donors. So it's like, okay, these people, 6,000 donors, they paid cash, and they expect something in return. Pay to play. And so they expected some play for their pay.
I was actually just thinking that. I was like,
where else do you do that?
Yes. Prostitution is illegal.
Right, yeah.
No wonder Harry Reid's like, so?
True. But here lies the biggest problem with this.
Or is he lied about Romney?
There's absolutely.
I don't care. I lied. He admitted it.
There's absolutely some people who would donate to the Clinton Foundation and have legitimate business meeting with the Secretary of State on some level. We can all acknowledge that as a fact, right?
Right.
However, a lot of people who had no right walking through the door of the Secretary of State's office, it wasn't like they're hanging out with her at the house on the weekends playing tennis or for a dinner party. It's official meetings with the Secretary of State, which, if you're going to do seedy, underhanded politics, at least try to hide it instead of having them march through the front door. It's just like everything going on with the IRS and the president. How many times the head of the IRS met with the president, but he didn't know anything about it?
But nothing ever touches the Clintons or this administration, right?
Right. That's the friggin' problem right now. And
well, that's purposeful. That's the media.
Right. I agree. And that's the sad part.
And for that, truly, really, you can't do much. Now, the media is paying some repercussion because of it. The numbers are going down. Their advertising is going down. The print media is pretty much dying. They're going away. And the sad part of that is, it's sort of like Schadenfreude. I'm really happy to see that happen. But when you do have actual fraud and corruption, who investigates that and who becomes the mouth of the people? Because the politicians sure as hell won't do that. So who's left? You can't trust the media.
Nope. Ever.
Who can you trust? Then who's stepping in to replace them?
SHR Media.
Hopefully.
Well,
that's kind of the plan, right? Really?
You laugh, but nation upholds a vacuum, and that vacuum will be filled.
I hope so. But, it shows you where journalism has gone in this country, which is really sad.
I want to touch on something. Speaking of journalism, Conway is the first woman to run a presidential campaign, and she's doing it for Donald Trump.
Right. And Donald Trump,
how's that not getting any play?
Well, and Katrina Pearson has been a leader in Donald Trump's campaign as a black female.
That's a big
from the
deal.
very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to me that people aren't acknowledging that at all. As a matter of fact, all the charges of racism that get thrown at the and sexism and all the other are regularly debunked. Now, again, I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. Is the guy uncouth? Yes, the guy is uncouth. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But they love to spend hours out of their day making him a monster he's not, but ignoring the monster who's proven.
Right.
Which is Hillary.
Yes. Look, a case can be made that Trump is a meanie. Right?
Boo-boo head.
Yeah. Trump's a big meanie.
Certainly.
You can make that case.
Sure. He's
you
overbearing.
You can make the case that he's a jerk. You can make the case that he's egocentric. You can make cases against Trump.
Right.
Trump has a lot of positive qualities.
He's got some issue qualities too.
He does. But with Hillary, you had a couple stories for me.
It's just left alone. That's the sad part.
I have one story for you.
Go ahead.
I wonder if it's a story that you have for me, but I have a story for you because I neglected my Surprise Sean segment.
I'm ready.
I want to get your thoughts on... Look, so, before the chat room lights up in hate, this is a difficult story for me to do. Here's why. I am a San Francisco 49er fan. As a San Francisco 49er fan, I cannot give any kind of props to certain teams, but I find myself in a weird position right now. One team I have to give props to is the Dallas Cowboys. This is paining me to do this. But the Dallas Cowboys actually designed a decal that they wanted to wear on their helmets to pay tribute to the 5 police officers who were ambushed and killed.
Yes.
And the NFL,
National Felon League,
the nationalist fucking liars, I don't know what else is good with that. There's no S in there to say socialist or C for communist, refused to let them wear it.
Yes.
So I'm in a position to where I may actually have to start rooting for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well,
because
listen,
look, I think
act by the organization.
Class
right?
act by the organization,
and they were allowed
Absolutely.
to wear it through preseason. And because
they
of
did
the
wear it through preseason,
yes, and because of the quote unquote uniform policies with the NFL, they couldn't. But I think it's amazing.
But the NFL could have had an exemption,
well,
which they have.
And the NFL has also allowed certain shirts to be worn online and stickers and other things in the past.
Yes, they
Yes, they have.
Without any issue whatsoever.
Yes, they have.
And I don't know if they're pandering to groups.
Let's be obvious. 67.8% of the NFL is black.
Right.
Those people support Black Lives Matter.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
A great
Yes,
percentile
but
of
not
those
all.
people publicly have gone out from the NFL player who had the photograph that was placed in the public on Twitter.
Yep, of the police officer getting his head cut off.
Of a police officer getting his head sliced, just like an ISIS type individual beheading someone. So that's in play right there. But like I wrote about this last week or a couple of weeks ago. The Chicago Bears have GSH embroidered on their uniforms, and they've had that for some time. Well, the GSH on their uniform doesn't have anything to do with any of the other teams. It stands for George S. Halas.
Yes.
Who was basically the founder and the creator of the Chicago Bears. Well, that means something only to the Chicago Bears.
Right.
Doesn't mean anything to anybody else.
Right.
That's okay. Dallas wanting to put a removable sticker on a uniform.
Helmet.
On their helmet, rather.
Yep.
That's correct.
Big Mouth Patriot in the
It
chat room. The
means-
Saints got to honor Will Smith with the decal.
It means something to the Chicago Bears. Honoring their local law enforcement means something to the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. Yeah.
What's the difference?
There is no difference, other than the fact that they're
the difference
cops.
is political correctness.
Right. What I meant to say was there shouldn't have been a difference. And it's just tragic. And listen, the NFL has proven once again why they're the National Felon League.
Right. So I want to say to Jason Witten, who designed the sticker.
Bravo,
sir.
That's a wonderful thing. You bet.
Absolutely. I think that is tremendous. I'm certain that the men and women in law enforcement appreciate that support. I want to say, my hats off to the Dallas Cowboys. As much as it pains me to say that as
but you
a
still
Niner
brought
fan.
up an excellent topic,
But
Clint.
but hey, my hats off to the Dallas Cowboy organization, the ownership all the way down for supporting that, for supporting Jason Witten in that, and trying to support their local law enforcement.
Right.
So
and the class act, and I applaud all of them.
Absolutely.
Two stories. I'll stick with the law enforcement
genre for 100.
Genre, if you will. Did you hear the story from this clam from the Huffington Post?
Which story?
Her name's Dr. something.
Oh, she's a doctor, so it's probably, hey, we're practically doctors, so we can comment on this.
That's right.
Right?
We're practically
We all drive by a
doctors.
hospital at
Yeah.
one point today.
No, I remember from Twitter. I mean, I saw it posted on Twitter somewhere that we're practically doctors, so it's, we're okay.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's Dr. G.S. Potter. She's described as an educator, advocate, and founder of the Strategic Institute of Intersectional Policy.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds
What
amazing.
the hell?
Damn.
Sounds amazing.
So she starts off her anti-police tirade with talking about Donald Trump and the fraternal of police supporting him, et cetera, as the law enforcement candidate. Blah, 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 blue, blue, blah. Then it gets down to the Blue Lives Matter movement. And she essentially goes into this whole tirade on how this and essentially Police Officer Bill of Rights, which are being passed in a lot of states, is essentially condoning and allowing further abuse by law enforcement onto the citizenry, and that police are not people. Blue is not an identity. Blue is not a race. It is not a gender. It's not a sexual orientation. Blue is not a religious affiliation or a disability. Blue is a position. It is a government position. It is a paid government position that is filled by employees with medical and dental benefits. It is a profession. They are not people.
What?
Huh? I think, is her point that they're not people, period, or his point that they're not that blue is not a
Well, it's
group
because
that
it's not a
fits
race and
into-
they're not necessarily born that way, then they should not have a group or have a Blue Lives Matter style movement that protects them specifically, because it's their choice to be in law enforcement. To which I respond, you're right. that actually makes it even more astounding for those that do put on the uniform because they choose to risk their lives to protect others.
Right.
Again, 99.9% of law enforcement officers are wonderful people. You're always going to have that 1%. It's of the lowest of the major professions in the country of corruption and problematic
because of the
employees.
rigorous hiring.
Right. You look at just about any other profession in the same pay scale, and I guarantee you the corruption is much higher. And look at government. Look at elected officials.
Look at Hillary
doctors.
Clinton. What?
Exactly. So this clam just assumes.
Did you just call her a clam?
Yeah. This fucking clam.
That is amazing. That is even more anti-woman than my tirade from earlier tonight. You might as well have just said, yeah, so this split-tailed broad goes and says...
seriously. She's not a lady, though. I'm sorry.
That was amazing,
She's just
Sean.
some uber-leftist wannabe. I'm going to put this out here. I mean, she's a scumbag. To even suggest that is even more ridiculous. And but this is the problem we have in society, right? She's going to write an article about why cops aren't people, and then Huffington Post which by the way has an all-white female board, is going to promote it. And then in her article, she's going to push that protecting police officers somehow translates into condoning abuse of the citizenry. I don't understand how you make that jump.
That's a stretch. Obviously, that's a stretch. I can see, so before everybody lights me up, I do not agree with, but I can see her point of view of law enforcement personnel are agents of government. Government does not require special attention or special protection because the government should fear the people should not fear the government, so therefore we're not going to have government as a protected class. That I can see that argument.
Right.
Okay? I can see that argument. And on some level, I can agree with that argument. On some level.
Some level.
But if you're targeting somebody because they're in law enforcement specifically, I think that because of what law enforcement stands for in terms of preserving the peace, maintaining order in the communities and so forth, I think that there does have to be certain protections in place for individuals that choose to go into that profession. I also believe that those in that profession should be held to a higher standard.
Yeah, and they are.
And they are.
Regularly.
Which is right. So I can understand her I understand her point on one end. Where she makes the jump, though, that somehow providing those protections equates to a blank check or whatever, or permission for them to abuse the citizenry is completely asinine and absurd.
I agree.
And she's a complete douchebag.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, the last story. While we were off, there was an exchange of money, and then ironically, within 24 hours, a couple of hostages from Iran were released. Or prisoners, sorry.
No, they weren't released until the money was on the ground, though.
Right, and they weren't allowed to, the plane wasn't allowed to take the money off the plane, the Swiss Air Force plane, until they were released. And it wasn't an exchange, only it was.
Right, no, it wasn't.
No. They eventually came out and essentially admitted that it was an exchange.
Oh.
So what was it, 400?
So they lied when they said no, 400 million.
400 million, right?
So they lied when they said it wasn't.
That was the first payment of pallets of euros.
Yes.
And Swiss
francs.
Yeah. That were delivered on behalf of the Americans. So then you flash forward.
Because it's illegal to pay them in U.S. currency.
Today.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
And we get a report out of Fox News, and I'll give Fox the credit on this. They're the only ones I'm seeing this on, of 3 Iranian swift boats in the Straits of Hormuz.
Was John Kerry there?
Intercepting a U.S. destroyer.
What? Tell me we lit them up.
No, after warnings, they got close, slowed down, and turned away. But again, more provocative action from the Iranians, who just announced the successful building of their ground-to-air missile system, which is a Soviet S-300 copy, even though they said they make it in-house.
Clearly, this is right-wing propaganda perpetuated by Fox News. The 3 Iranian boats were actually trying to bring the Americans a cake to say thank you for the $400 million and to sing them songs and to have a party. But the Americans, being the rude Americans they were, decided to warn them off and shoo them away.
Good idea.
Clearly, another indication of how elitist we are as Americans and why we should be more loving towards those of other countries.
But wait, there's
more.
Oh.
Did you guys, and this is deliciously full of irony. Now, the State Department, the same one that holds up information to the Associated Press, now the State Department is saying there's an Iran travel warning from the State Department.
How can that be? We have a deal.
Why would there be an Iran
We have a
travel
nuclear
warning?
deal. How is there? Why would
From
they?
the Department of State. And what does it mention?
When was the last time Iranians took an American hostage
that's
for no
right.
reason
Right.
whatsoever? It's ludicrous.
The Iran travel warning is about hostage
Hang on a second.
taking. Wait, no, that can't be
Hang on.
right.
What American would go to frickin' Iran on vacation?
Hey, honey.
I don't
You
know.
always think we
Hey,
should bring
dear.
the kids?
Yeah.
Oh, on a cruise?
Yeah.
Sort
At
of.
Disneyland?
You're close because there may be cruise missiles involved.
France?
Beautiful downtown Tehran. Everyone wants to see it.
Who doesn't want to go
They have
downtown
great public
Tehran?
transportation.
Oh, hell yes.
So, just all love and joy. Just another gigantic.
Again, like you said a couple of weeks ago, Clint,
Jeez.
Sean, you can't write this.
No!
It writes itself.
Yes.
Oh,
you know what? And this is why Hollywood has to remake shit.
Right.
Because anything they'd be able to come up with is real life.
Right.
Okay, hang on. I got an idea. Perfect thriller. Secretary of State gets American ambassador killed, like denies him assistance, and then runs for president. Meanwhile, her email gets hacked on a private server. Lives are put at risk. Oh, it's really happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we have on the shelf from the 80s? Oh, Ghostbusters? Let's throw some broads in that and remake that.
Perfect.
Even Rick Moranis won't touch it.
Right.
He came out and he was like, I didn't see why they did that. The guy hasn't acted. He's been taking care of his kids. I mean, God bless him after his wife died. But yeah, he was just like, I don't know why anyone was a part of that, essentially. So
Yeah, and amazingly enough, it tanked.
Oh, horribly.
Yeah, you can't remake a classic, an icon movie like that.
I have another story, though.
They should have gone with the 3 like they wanted to do, the Ghostbusters 3. Yeah,
'Cause
sorry, Sean.
We were staying with Rogue Nations. North Korea, on the heels of U.S.-South Korea war games,
came out and said,
North Korea successfully launched a a submarine-based ICBM.
Was it an ICBM?
Yeah.
Or was it like a Piccolo Pete? With
They're
a slingshot.
Things
They're saying ICBM.
Right. The problem is, this is the second, even if it was only semi-successful, launch in the last 6 months. And now we're starting to see more and more activity in that area. And you just had a U.S. Army general come out and say that, or retired come out and say, there's most likely going to be a war in the next 5 years again, and we don't nearly have enough combatants to be able to deal with that. So that's always a wonderful thing. And finally, I want to share, I want to express my thoughts and condolences to the people of Italy who are dealing with just this horrible earthquake. It hit a very old part of the country, in the middle of the country, where you had old architecture, old buildings. There are some people already out there saying that this is why you can't have old architecture, and building codes in Italy need to be fixed. I'm like, let's let the bodies get cold first, please, because we're up to like 265 or 66 people dead. And you don't knock down history.
Right.
Just to make people
safe.
Those people know where they're living. They're not foolish. I'm not saying they should be in harm's way by any stretch of the imagination. But it's historical. I had a conversation at dinner tonight with the guy sitting next to me about how we are so quick to tear down history and replace it with something deemed better. But the reality is half that country is in peril right now, and we wish them well.
We do, and look, it's also an issue of we're so quick to in the interest of your safety, we need to tear down these buildings in your community that you may love and have, a deep-rooted meaning for you or whatever it is. Of course, our thoughts and prayers go out with those in Italy, but it's not for anybody else to decide where they live or what their building
And I hate to say it,
code
if
is.
you're going to go after Italy, building codes aren't where you want to start. If you're really gonna make a push to change Italy, there's a lot of other places you could start and be more
Right, like
effective.
the shape. A boot? Are you kidding me?
Well, let's start with
and the heel.
Right.
Let's start with cruise boat captains and major political corruption. Let's start there, and then we'll worry about getting to architecture and building codes at some point.
Right. They've been building for a little while.
Right.
They kind of know.
And
right.
those buildings are hanging around through a lot of other earthquakes
Right.
for a couple hundred years and doing just
couple
fine.
hundred, maybe a few, just a few years, right? Like thousands.
Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show on the 24th of August, 2016. Thank you all for joining us this evening in chat and everywhere else.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Clint.
BZ,
Thank you,
for
BZ.
sitting in again with us and helping us out this evening. We obviously need all the help we can get. There's no
Psychologically and otherwise.
doubt. And otherwise.
Financially.
Special
So if
thanks
anybody wants to give money.
Yeah, if you want to give money, it's Sean at shrmedia.com. Sean.lewis, actually, at shrmedia.com.
Yeah, what's my email since mine hasn't worked in forever?
It's
Keep sending stuff to Clint at SHR. 'cause
it's
I won't
hate
get
mail
it.
at
Right, that's what it is.
shrmedia.com. No, it really is. I have that one set up now.
Yeah, no.
Hey, thanks to Sacco for checking in. All joking aside, of course, we love our buddy Sacco and still wishing him well. We'll be back next Wednesday here on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you check out all the great shows: The Exceptional Conservative, Reaver of Common Sense, Jersey Joe, The Lid Radio
Hey,
Show.
I spoke to
Jeff
Jersey
Dunetz.
Joe on Wednesday.
Joe's a man. I love Joe.
Great guy.
And all the other great shows right here on the SHR Media Network. We will see you next week.
Or you'd hear us.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk. Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.